Anyone remember the infinite improbability drive from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Yeah? The basic idea was that if you could calculate... Oh, question.
How many of the interviewers get it right?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably, I'd say about 25%. And these are these are people that we've selected. We don't interview all of the applicants that we get, obviously. We usually interview, it'll vary, but we'll interview about 20% of the applications that we get, sometimes closer to 30. So this is a hard problem. It's really, it's not super easy, although, you know, there are only 6 possible options, right? And a lot of them are obviously wrong. Okay. So the basic idea of the infinite improbability drive is that if you could calculate precisely how improbable it is that you would spontaneously appear somewhere else, presumably due to some Deepak Chopra-esque application of quantum mechanics, that you could use the improbability drive to appear somewhere else. It also had the nasty side effect of causing extremely improbable things to happen all the time. It was a plot contrivance device. So why don't we make something really improbable happen? Let's talk about numbers for a bit. I work with numbers all day, and I love them. They're weird little monsters, though. I asked my computer to generate 2 sequences of pseudo-random numbers. That's 25 numbers that are each between 1 and 10 inclusive. And then I sorted them so that you could easily see the distributions. So this is sequence 1, 25 random numbers. This is sequence 2 of 25 random numbers. And that's the distribution of sequence 1 and the distribution of sequence 2. Which of those 2 sequences looks more random? Anyone? Hands up if you think number 1 looks more random. Number 2? Okay. Equally random? Okay. So nobody really voted for number 1. A couple people voted for number 2, and a bunch of people said they're equally random. Okay. What do you notice about the numbers on the left? Distribution 1.
Your question was which looks more random.
Which looks more
which
random.
is more random.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So aesthetically, they look equally random. Okay, good. That's a good point.
Well, I would say aesthetically 2 looks more random, but we know from what you told us about how you derived those numbers that
they are equally random.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good. Okay, so what about distribution 1 there? What do you notice when you look at it? There are no 1s, right? That's weird. There are way too many 3s, and a bunch of the numbers were only selected once. This is sort of random, but even. It looks pretty good. So the first thing that jumped out at me was the lack of 1s when I saw that. I was like, wow, no 1s. Did I do something wrong? Catch what I just did there? Yeah. So it's actually no more likely that I would end up with sequence 1 than with sequence 2, than any other than any other possible sequence, right? And the probability of having a distribution with no 1s, it's about 7%. The probability of having a distribution without any of any one of the 10 possible numbers is much higher. I didn't calculate it. I could do that, but I'm doing a talk right now, so I'm a little busy. So, 2 minutes, Jesus. Okay.
Well, is Arthur Schaefer actually here now, or I didn't watch everyone who came in.
So the likelihood that I'd arrive at this sequence is no more or less likely than that I'd get 7 every single time, right? Those are equally unlikely and equally likely. Prior to the numbers being picked, the probability of any number that any number sequence with a distribution of 1s and 2s and 3s, etc., just like this, the probability that I arrive at that is about 1 in 200 million. That's really unlikely, right? And the probability of arriving at that specific sequence is something like 1 in 10 septillion. But I had to arrive at some sequence. Afterward, the probability is 1 in 1. It's important to remember that the chances of arriving at any of these sequences are the same. So next time somebody tells you about something really improbable that happened to them, something that had a 1 in a million chance of happening to them, you might have cause to be a little less impressed. Astoundingly improbable things happen all the time, because it would be astoundingly improbable if something improbable didn't happen. You know? Of all of the multitude of things that could be happening, it's really improbable that this is what's happening right now. Though I have to admit something. I lied to you a couple minutes ago when I said that my computer had generated 2 sequences of random numbers. I actually generated distribution 1, sequence 1, randomly. And then I tweaked it. I handcrafted sequence 2 to look a little bit more random. Because no way that this would be the random distribution I get, right? Contrary to our expectations, randomness can actually be quite clumpy. For those of you who are interested, I calculated the probability of arriving at that numeric distribution binomially. So if you want to check my work at home, feel free. I may have made a mistake. It's been known to happen from time to time. Oh, how did that get up there? That's embarrassing. It's my, to quote Phil Plait, my close personal friend, Adam Savage.
That's trademark.
Yeah. When you watch Mythbusters, what is it that draws you in? For me, it isn't the explosions. I love to watch Adam and Jamie trying to figure things out. Why? Well, I mean, part of it is just I really want to know what the answer is. I'm as excited as they are to be involved in these experiments, to be learning something. I love to watch how excited they are. It's contagious. Being excited about learning is really important. I'm sure that most of you can remember a teacher that you had in high school that was really enthusiastic about his or her subject matter. That's a wonderful thing. And as media expands, these people can rise to the top. Today we have Adam Savage, Jamie Heineman, Phil Plait, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Brian Dunning, Rebecca Watson, Simon Singh, Richard Wiseman, the Novella brothers. The list seems endless. Carl Sagan isn't around anymore. Neither is Richard Feynman. But their legacies live on. We need people to be excited about learning, and about problem solving, and about science. Otherwise our society runs the risk of stagnation. How about one for the road? This is a problem that's fairly well designed to confound computer scientists, and it is my favorite puzzle of all time. You're given 8 weights that are identical in outward appearance. See? Pixel, down to the pixel level they're identical, I made sure of that. One of those weights is slightly heavier than the rest. You have a balanced scale, and contrary to the picture, it's actually evenly weighted. Sorry, it looks nicer that way. You can use the balance scale twice, and you can put any number of weights on each side either time. Given that you have 8 weights, one of them slightly heavier, you can use the balance scale twice. Is it possible to figure out exactly which one of the weights is the heavier one?
Yes.
Yes.
Who thinks it is? Who thinks it is not? Interesting. Moving on. So what am I trying to say? What it really comes down to is this. This disease of curiosity against which Augustine railed has led to all the amazing advancements in science and technology of which we avail ourselves on a daily basis. Curiosity is pretty much the best thing ever. It's the best thing our species has going for it, in my opinion. When you spend a lot of time trying to figure things out, sometimes you just won't get them, and that's okay. There have been times when I've literally spent 5 hours trying to solve a simple math problem. Why? It wasn't for a test. It wasn't always for work. Sometimes it just occurred to me that I wanted to figure something out, and I went to it. I tried to find the tools. Sometimes I didn't solve it. Usually, eventually I did. And that feeling is like the best feeling in the world. I'd always rather see somebody try and fail than not try at all. It's a cliche, I know, but you learn more from failure than you do from success. In Last Chance to See, Douglas Adams said, "Human beings who are almost unique in their ability to learn from the experience of others are also remarkable for their apparent disinclination to do so." Let's prove him wrong. Oh, and you should switch. Thanks, guys.